All right, we are on air. Happy Thursday. It is March 16th. We're just going to do a quick check-in on development things that we are working on. As far as I'm aware, there's nothing super exciting going on for the PMC, unless anyone here has any updates. Okay. Most exciting progress happening recently has been on backdropcms.org and its subsites. Mike has done a ton of work on the new homepage redesign, starting with the layouts. And I think we're going to try and launch that tomorrow at 5 p.m. unless we find anything significantly problematic with what's there now. But that means that we need help QAing. So I put a link in the agenda to backdropcms.microcapread.net. If anyone has any time today who can help click through pages and just make sure everything looks sort of fine, that's what we're looking for a launch tomorrow. So definitely need people to help there. Anything else we should mention about that? I would also say, I don't know, Gregory, I haven't checked on that issue about reorganizing our menu, but that's then going to become our next priority. So I think we're pretty close to final on that. I don't know if you know any more about where that is.
Haven't checked lately. My family goes back to Greece next Tuesday. I will have more time.
Okay, I haven't checked on either, but we'll give that a look today and see where we are.
It's good time.
But yeah, that's making progress.
Yeah.
I have a suggestion/question. Maybe we can discuss this. I think it's awesome that Mike set up this sandbox site on his personal website. That's going the extra mile there to get us so that we can QA this. I remember a couple of weeks ago we asked, like, why isn't this just on Pantheon? And the answer to that is that Backdrop CMS has a lot of specialized integrations that require a dedicated server, essentially. However, that got me thinking that perhaps, like, there's no reason why we can't use Pantheon for demonstration and QA purposes. Like, potentially we could use like multi-dev and multiple sandboxes and things like that on Pantheon and just have a mirror of backdropcms.org that we all can collaborate on, even if the production website isn't actually launched there.
So we do have a dev site, Nate. It's just waiting for you to update the DNS on it, a dev server.
Right. Yeah, I understand that we have a dev server, but we'll run into, access problems and deployment problems in the same way that we would on pretty much, well, on backdropcms.org itself, right? And I think it's fine that backdropcms.org is locked down. Well, I don't know. It was just an idea that maybe potentially that might be easier for people.
If we want multi-dev, we're going to have to start paying for Pantheon, though.
Yeah, the multi-dev is expensive on Pantheon. Isn't that like $100 a month or something? At least?
Yeah.
Okay, noted. It's a possibility in the future, but not happening for now. Okay, sounds good. But yeah, okay. I was just thinking, it'd be nice if we had the ability to deploy changes to dev without requesting access from other people. But I think the answer to that is we just need to get more people access to the dev server and set it up, of course.
Now that we have a dev server, if we could set it up, we could give anyone who wants to develop access to the dev server without any risk to the live server. And we might even be able to set it up so that our automated sanitized backups get copied there automatically too. But we can't do anything until it has domain names pointed at it.
Okay. All right. Well, carry on then.
Okay. For now, I would just encourage anyone who wants to work on Backdrop to do whatever is most convenient to them. Right. The forum site, good news, I got Bakery set up on it last week. I set it up on the forum site, I set it up on the API site, and both of those sites should be talking to backdropcms.org. I would love it if we could get some people testing that sign-on process. I know the user experience is a little bit weird because the user login form is on the forum, and then after you log in, it like redirects you to the main site and then redirects you back. But it should work. I've had limited success with it. As long as I'm not logged in to a different user account in the same browser, it seems to work for me. But I would love to get some actual people trying to log into the forum and seeing if it copies over your user credentials and that you get logged in correctly. I hit a couple snags on the API site yesterday and had to turn it off in order to get logged in. So I'm worried it might not be working correctly. But testing, definitely needs testing. But that's good. If we can make sure that login user experience is good, I think we can start telling people to use the forum, which will be good. And I don't know if we should maybe seed the forum with a couple of issues from the GitHub queue that we think would be better suited to a forum discussion than an issue queue discussion, just to get people using it, even if it's just us. Like, okay, here's an issue 4 of us are talking about. Let's go try and talk about it in the forum and see what that feels like. And see if we need to prioritize any of the other features that we want, like maybe app mentioning or having emails get sent out, a bunch of other stuff that we think is important. So forum also needs QA. I'm paying attention to what's going on in the sidebar chat conversation. Does anyone want to take this conversation out loud?
Since no one else is unmuting. So Gore is just making the suggestion that that we could enhance the automation on GitHub to make it so that we had per pull request sandboxes in the same way we have for Backdrop core itself, which of course would be awesome, but yeah, that's going to take some effort. Yeah, I think this is a Gore feeling the waters kind of thing, but I'm not sure if he's gone so far as to actually volunteer taking on that effort.
Well, we can make it possible. It's actually, there is not too much work. There is one piece that requires attention is sanitizing database dump, and everything else we already have on a backdrop. Basically, every time when branch created, ZenCI will create a QA website, will deploy code from repository and dump SQL database, and here we go. We have a QA website that specifically for this branch. And every time when there is a new commit, code has been synchronized. Small things that require attention is database update. So if there is any code that require update database structure, it needs to be properly written in install, like a hook update feature. And from this point, it's seriously not too much work. I'm already doing it for all my projects, so I have to just copy paste, and we need to organize this process, where and how and on which hardware we are doing it.
Okay, so it sounds like if we were to pursue such a thing, that the primary thing we need is that the database, we need to have that be accessible somehow, that you can build it in and pull that from some location.
So we do have an open ticket right now to create sanitized database dumps and store them into a htaccess password protected directory on our main server. Maybe we could use that.
That's actually an awesome idea. So if we have a static URL that we can always request using some password to get access to a specific file, it will be automatically, on each deploy, it will be automatically downloaded and put in a sandbox. The difference is if we already created sandbox, the database SQL update like from a fresh one, it's like a questions that need to be discussed, but it's like a small things to start up. It's like, I don't know, with my current schedule, like a few days to make it possible.
Okay. Do we have a, Gregory, do you know the issue number for the automatic backups?
It's in the backdropcms.org queue, and I think it's near the top of the list.
358.
358. Cool. Well, let's have that not be a task for Gore. It looks like we might be able to get Justin to handle that. But then once that's in place, Gore, we can let you know, and then you can run with automating that process as well.
Sure, awesome. And we probably even can use the same VPS that we are using for all QA, backdrop QA websites. We can use the same, or we can set up separate. I can support this one. I mean, we are not. It will be free for our community from my side.
Okay. Cool. Well, let's keep moving forward on going through the agenda. But that's awesome. Thank you, Gore.
All right,
No problem.
so next item on the agenda is the translation server. I don't think there's been any update on this since last week. It looks like we have localized.backdropcms.org, a site up that can translate things. We just need to figure out how to get people translating them. If we can get Bakery working, we can also put Bakery onto the translation server. The 777 version should work there too. In order to test Bakery, just because I saw a note here in the doc, you just try and log in to the forum website. If you have a account there already, it should copy your credentials from backdropcms.org over to the forum site. If you don't have an account already, it will create an account for you, copying your credentials from backdropcms.org over to the forum. So it should work for both of those scenarios. And if it works for one and not for the other, we should fix that. I did some testing and it worked for me most of the time. But it would be good to figure out like what the exact circumstances are where it doesn't work.
So then, sorry, are you saying that we can log into this service if we had an account created even prior to installing Bakery?
Yes. So if you try and log in with your password from the forum website, it should throw a message saying that your account needs to be repaired with a link for you to repair it. And when you click the repair link, it'll synchronize those credentials once. And then from then on, it'll require that you use your password from backdropcms.org instead of the forum. So it has like a little kind of a synchronized feature, which worked for me when I tested it. But I want to make sure it works for everyone.
Yeah, and the need for us to really support those accounts is really pretty minimal, I think, because the number of accounts total is like less than 20,
On the forum site?
Isn't it? Yeah, on the forum site.
I mean, they're going to be the same. So
I mean, the people that will have existed prior to Bakery being ready, like the number of people that will actually need to pair their accounts rather than just create a new one. It's pretty minimal.
It should work though. It worked for me.
Cool.
Hopefully. It's a weird experience, but it should work. Okay, so I don't really know where we are for next steps of translation server other than installing Bakery, but I don't know. Who was working on that? Was it
Olaf?
Olaf? And he's not around this week. I think I saw something saying he was going to be out of town.
Correct.
Okay. So we'll just wait and see. If anyone else wants to try using it, I would recommend playing with it, seeing where we're at. Letting us know. And that's all I have for websites related to backdropcms.org. Nate, do you want to take it over and talk about Backdrop itself?
Yeah. So this week was eventful as far as Backdrop releases go. As some people in this meeting and on watching this video probably noticed that we had 2 releases of Backdrop yesterday, 1.62 and 1.63. So 1.62 included 2 security fixes, both of which were access bypass problems that have been corrected. And you can read the full details of that from the security announcement or by visiting backdropcms.org/security. And so 162 corrected those problems. However, an unfortunate thing happened in our release in that 162 also introduced a regression that our tests were not passing. And so our tests were not passing, and we had actually a straight up bug in one of our security fixes. And so we followed it up almost immediately with 163. And 163 is the tests are not passing and the implementation
Is fixed.
And the bug is fixed, exactly. And then some other things like minor changes got in between those as well. So so 162 or 163, of course, if you're updating your sites, you should be using 163. They both contain the security fix, of course. And so sites that are updating will probably just skip 162 and go right to 163. The versions have been pushed out to all Pantheons, the Pantheon upstream, as well as, of course, all of our normal process for deploying. I don't think that we've yet gotten the Docker image updated, but that's on Jeff's plate, I think, to start the process for getting through that deployment, which I understand takes a day or two anyway. So, and that's it. That's our status for the 162 and 163 being pushed out this past week. 164 is now the next bug fix release, and as always, items that haven't been completed in the previous releases have been bumped into 164. And you can find the issue tracker has got a good boatload of issues that we would like to get fixed or that are nearly fixed and are slated for the next bug fix release. 1.70 is our next minor release, which is coming out May 15th, 2017. Of these items that we have slated on the roadmap, you can see them on the agenda here. We've got page element blocks, which is issue 1704, layout relationships, which is issue 2134, and reference module, which has its own contrib-based issue tracker. All of these items are in a needs review state, but I don't think any of them have any updates since last week, so I'm not going to run over them again. All of them need assistance in reviewing them, so if anybody's interested in contributing some of their time for review, all of those items appreciate code reviews. The page element blocks one, if you're looking for one that might give you the most immediate satisfaction, the page element blocks one is the one that is closest to completion. That would probably need the minimal amount of work. So 1704, if you're looking to push something to completion. There's also a bunch of other features that we would like to include in 1.70 and many items that have, well, some items that have been completed for 1.70, and you can find those all in the GitHub issue tracker under the 1.70 milestone. Ta-da! That's it for the update on Backdrop CMS the product. We move on to general discussion. You guys have any questions or anything that we would like to add to the agenda? No? Okay, Gregor, I saw that you were taking a deep breath, like you were thinking about mentioning something.
Just lack of time. There's so many things, but no time.
Yeah.
Starting next week, mid next week, I will have more time in my life.
Okay, well, no worries. You've still been churning out pull requests like a machine, so nobody would complain about the level of contribution that anyone here has provided. So thanks again, as always, to all of our contributors, and thanks everybody for joining this meeting and for watching. And we'll catch you guys again next week. Thank you very much. Bye, everybody.